I live, travel and work remotely full-time from my van, and this video is going to take you through exactly how I'm able to do that. Well, I was going to record today's video in the van, however it is stinking hot here today out in the bush, so I thought what a great example of why it's so wonderful to be able to work remotely. I can just take my laptop and work outside. So what is working remotely? It is being able to work from anywhere. It's having the freedom to sit out in the bush like this and work away on my laptop without actually having to go to a physical office space or workplace. And I think when COVID hit in 2020, that really gave rise to being able to work remotely. A lot more people were requested to do it because companies still needed people to work, but we weren't allowed out of our homes. So I think it was kind of, it was a little bit of a good thing in a way for a lot of us because it enabled us to have a bit more of a freeing lifestyle once COVID was over. It sort of opened companies up to the idea that you don't necessarily need to be at a workplace to complete the work. I think for me personally, I actually find I get a lot more work done when I'm not in a workplace. I can work quite fast, and when I can be just 100% focused on what I'm doing, I get the work done in a much quicker time frame. And it does give you more freedom because I don't have to commute anywhere. So I can just get up in the morning, turn my laptop on and get started. And it also means that at the end of the day, I can turn the laptop off and I'm immediately where I need to be to relax. So I can just jump out of the van and into my hammock. It's given me the ability to travel. So I've seen so much of Australia since I started, and I can just work from really beautiful locations. I can spend my lunch breaks, going for a quick walk out in nature, or I can go for a quick snorkel. It really is the most amazing lifestyle. And there are different ways to work remotely too. So you could work 100% remote full-time, or you might do like a hybrid model where you're working remote a couple of days a week and then the other few days you're working from an office, or maybe you just work part-time. The other option is that you might be a freelancer or a contractor, and that gives you a little bit more freedom because really you're not answering to anybody else then, so that you can actually travel to other countries and work from other countries. And then there's obviously people like me who are content creators as well. So I am trying to do that transition from, working a full-time job into full-time content creation. But if you are a content creator, that just gives you the ultimate freedom. You are your own boss, you can work from anywhere. There's no consequences, and it's actually advantageous to work from anywhere because then you've got beautiful scenery to put in your videos. So there are challenges to working remotely, and one of the biggest ones I have found is internet access, obviously. So when I started out van life, I was with the Optus network in Australia, which it does not cover enough of Australia. It's very patchy if you start to go outside of the big cities. So I had to change to Telstra. And then I found that with Telstra, I was just hotspotting my phone for internet access on my laptop. It was running the battery down on my phone a lot, so I had to get a little dongle to start using that instead of my phone to save the battery life on my phone. And then about a year or so ago, I got Starlink. So that kind of opened up a whole new world of possibilities to me, because with Starlink, you can pretty much get internet access from anywhere. The only couple of problems with that is if you are under trees. So trees do affect what you can get access to with the satellites. So like this location, for example, I tried to do a live the other night and it just didn't work for me. So I had to go back to using my Telstra dongle. And so it also draws a lot of power, Starlink. So if you are off grid and you're struggling with power, then that can be an issue as well. And if you're someone that works from different states or different countries, time zones may be a problem as well. So I work for a global group and I deal with people in Australia, but I also deal with people in other countries such as the US or Canada or Fiji or Singapore. So I do have to be conscious of time zones as well, and we all try to work with each other, but if you're constantly moving around, then people don't know what time zone you're in, so that can be a bit of a problem too. And you really do need self-discipline. So I think that comes with, whether you're living van life, you're just working remotely from your home, sometimes you can get distracted by things around you. I get very distracted by nature and wildlife. And so it's really tempting to not get the work done because you've got all these amazing distractions, and that can be at home too if you're doing the laundry or cooking, things like that. So you do have to have a bit of discipline when you're working remotely. And loneliness can be another issue too. So quite often we get our community from our workplace. That's the place that we're going 5 days a week generally. So we're seeing the same people every day. We know their stories, they know ours. And so it's that sense of belonging and community. So when you're working remotely, you don't really have that. I still talk to people on Teams that I know, but that's not every day, It might only be a few times a week. So if you're not on Teams a lot and having chats with people, you might find that it could get a bit lonely, but you are going to experience that whether you're working remotely in your home or if you're living van life. I find that when I'm living van life and doing it, that I get my sense of community from the people around me. So I've got my regular spots that I hang out, or I'll chat with, other local campers. And with freedom, believe it or not, comes responsibility. So if you are someone who's always worked for someone else, you've never really had your own business, it might be a bit of a struggle to work remotely because it kind of is like having your own business. You're not really answering to anyone, you're really setting your own structure up for the day. It's up to you to make sure that you put systems in place to make sure that you get the work done in the right time frame, and you've got everything there that you need so that you can get the work done. You need to make sure that you've got power so you can power your laptops. And I have had issues where my inverter has died and I've had no power. So I've had to go and work from a library for the day or work from a cafe for the day. So you've got to be prepared for those sort of issues to happen. Because I have had businesses in the past, and I obviously have my own business with my artwork and with YouTube, so I'm very used to having those structures in place, and I desperately need those because I have so many different things on the go at once. I travel, I work, I have my own art business, I've got YouTube, so I need to make sure I'm extremely organised and I have all that structure in place that I can get everything done in the time frame that I've set myself, and that I've got to make sure I meet deadlines for work too. So I have lists. I make sure I stick to my lists. I make sure I've got like a routine. So, I make sure that I'm obviously working my full-time job on the days and the hours that I'm meant to be. Then I make sure that on the weekends I'm focusing on YouTube and my artwork, but then I also have to find time in there to travel as well and catch up with family and friends. So it does take a lot of organisation and structure to manage all of that. Now, from a practical standpoint, there can be issues like privacy as well. So I work in finance, so I need to be conscious of who can actually see my laptop and who can hear me on Teams calls. So one of the first things I did was go out and get a headset. So I got a headset that has a little speaker thing on it. So this will actually drown out a lot of the external noise. So not only can no one else hear what I'm saying on a Teams meeting, but then the person on the other end of the Teams call can't hear what's going on around me. And I have had situations where I haven't actually planned to have a Teams call, but someone's reached out, and I've been in a car park location that hasn't been very quiet, and so sometimes I found that a bit distracting because I've had someone actually decide to have a conversation right next to my van. So I can hear them, I can hear what's going on in the Teams call, I'm trying to have a conversation, so that can be a bit of a problem. And I can't ask someone else to move off and have a conversation somewhere else. So it is important to try and make sure that if you are working, that you try and find a quiet location to work from for the day. And the other thing is that I quite often will go to the same place when I'm back home in Perth, and so people know me, so they might come up to the van and just be like, hey, they'll stick their head round the corner, not realising that I might be on a Teams call. So that can be a bit of a problem too. I do find that when I put my screens up, that gives me a bit more privacy, so people can't see in, they can't see what's on the computer, and generally speaking, if someone who knows me sees me, they won't necessarily stick their head in if I've got the screens up, so they might give a whistle or something or a hey, and so that's not so bad. But yeah, that can be a little bit of a problem I've found when I'm on the road. And security is something else I think about too. So I know that a lot of people, when they're at a campsite or even just parked up down the beach, you know, if they're just nipping to the loo, they might leave everything open. I never ever do that because not only do I have my work laptop to think about, I've got my personal laptop, my camera gear. So I think that people can be opportunistic, and it's probably just better to remove that temptation. The other thing, if I'm leaving the van for more than just a few minutes, like if I'm going for a snorkel or a walk, then I will put all my blinds up as well, because once again, it's removing temptation. People can't see what's in the van. They don't know if someone is actually in the van. So yeah, it's just better to be safe than sorry, I think. The thing that has surprised me the most about working remotely is how it's changed my idea or understanding of what freedom really is. You know, this job, it really does give me so much freedom. I have so much more time to do all the things I love, but in doing that, it's given me this urge to want to do that more. So it's made me realize that I want to earn money from doing everything that I love. So what I really love is doing YouTube videos. I've fallen in love with that, exploring nature, traveling, and artwork. And that to me now is my idea of freedom. It's not so much about, you know, having a job that can create more freedom to move around. It's about creating a life, doing things that you're passionate about. So I find that I do get frustrated days where I'm sitting at my computer desk when I'm in an amazing location and all I want to be doing is out there filming and hiking or snorkeling. Those are the things that I've found frustrating. So once you taste that sense of freedom, you want it more. You want more of it. You start to learn what you love in life and what freedom really means to you. I hope you found this video helpful. I have done a previous video on Starlink versus using Telstra, the little Telstra dongle, so I'll link that below and you can watch that for more information on that. If there are any questions you have or other things that you want me to delve deeper into, please comment below and I'll create another video. Many happy travels.
I know sooner or later it will come, the day that I know I'm in love. Will it feel warm and dry like a kiss in July? Will it chill down my bones? Will it cool like the snow? And I look at my window to see what the universe has in store for me. People passing by in the street will be smiling at me, 'cause they already know what it's like being in love. The sky starts to roll up its clouds, so the sun can't just stop hiding